Good morning. Welcome everybody to our one-day workshop on understanding Indonesia. And in addition to your participation, we've been able to organize an incredibly strong set of participants to come and share their ideas with us today. As we note in the program, Indonesia is a giant of Asia, but to some extent has escaped the attention of US policymakers, US academics, and the public at large. And certainly doesn't get yet the attention of the other two large Asian countries, China and India. However, I think one of the things is that the turnout today and also the registration which we've had for this event, which shut down our online registration system as it was so popular, actually shows that there is actually really indeed a high level of interest in Indonesia and also in Southeast Asia more generally. Universities don't move very quickly, but somewhat slowly. The university has finally woken up to the need to complement its traditional strengths of study of East Asia and the growing attention to South Asia with a far better understanding of developments in Southeast Asia in all aspects, culture, history, and also current developments. This has also been a part of a major push by Arthur Kleinman during his directorship of the Asia Center here at Harvard, and also here at the Harvard Kennedy School under the directorship of Jay Rosengard. We started to try and build a program of research and student support that benefited initially from the very generous support of the Rajawali Foundation. And our hope is that we'll be able to build on that base moving forward to continue with the interactions and the activities that we've been able to carry through to date. The program that we've been operating is designed to engage colleagues at Harvard with Indonesia through collaborative research programs. And in that context, we've run workshops such as the seminar today, but also other workshops that bring in colleagues in Indonesia working on public policy challenges. And we've also tried to link them into a regional network of people dealing with public policy challenges across Southeast and East Asia primarily. The most recent of those was in our series of the Asia Public Policy Forum, which we held in Jakarta earlier this year, which looked at the questions across the region of healthcare financing and healthcare provision. Other workshops that we've done included energy, crisis management, and social safety support systems. And what we've done with those programs is we've had them 1 year in Jakarta and then 1 year elsewhere within the region. So those workshops are explicitly comparative by design. The student support has enabled us to increase the number of Indonesian students here at Harvard, and some of our most recent graduates actually have just gone recently to work in the President's office. So in addition to the specific research collaborations, we've also produced two general studies of Indonesia about Indonesia's growth potential and the progress of transition to date. The first study was this one, From Transformasi to Institutional Transformation, and that looked primarily at the legacies of economic oligarchy and what was termed in that report collusive democracy from the New World Order and the guided democracy periods. That included the legacies of high barriers to entry in a wide range of industries, a dysfunctional legal system, patrimonial politics, disempowered citizens, and an attenuated sense of national citizenship. Those legacies hampered Indonesia's ability to respond to the challenge of globalization. But I think what is remarkable is that given that legacy, it is indeed remarkable how well Indonesia has fared and has done subsequently. So following that call in the first study for a more thorough institutional transformation, in our second study we took a deeper dive into an analysis of the economy that was generating, in our view, jobless growth and was too reliant on natural resource extraction at the expense of building up manufacturing. And we concluded that study by looking at 3 different development paths that we outlined, one of which is what we called reactive, or policy by exception, and that was essentially an approach of muddling through, where leaders ride on past accomplishments and overcome their inertia to formulate new policies, really only when existing policies can no longer be continued. The second path we looked at was what we call a proactive or sporadic reform, and that was to promote more rigorously selected changes that would raise the rate of economic growth, reduce inequality, or at least prevent inequality from worsening at that period of time. And then the third is what we call the transformative strategy, which was a fundamental metamorphosis in the system that sought to devise policies that would seek to sustain the reforms that extend and integrate the domestic market through measures that raise and sustain productivity and competitiveness. We propose key 6 elements, but I don't have the time to elucidate on them here, but they're covered in this, the second of our reports. And what I would say is if anybody's interested in either of the reports, they're free for download, available on our Ash Center website in PDF form. So if you'd like to look further at the kind of analysis that colleagues here and our colleagues in Indonesia that we partnered with came to those conclusions, please, you can go online. So let me conclude by thanking Jay and Tricia, who've done all the work in putting this day together. And I think we should give them a round of applause for all that effort. I would also like to thank the Harvard University Asia Center for co-sponsoring the conference, and ANU's Indonesia project for providing supplemental support. And I hope you enjoy what I think will be a very informative day. Despite what it says in front of him, this is not the Indonesian ambassador to the US who was called back to Jakarta and was not able to attend as a result today, but we're very fortunate to have the DCM from there who will make a few comments based on the comments of the ambassador himself. So let me now please turn it over to the DCM.
Thank you, Tony. Good morning, everybody. I have the pleasure of greeting Ibu Mari Pangestu, with whom I've worked closely under for APEC. Pak Dede, Professor Rosengart, Jay. I'm very pleased to see you here. I'm very pleased to see Mas Acho coming from a long way, Canberra, and a lot of familiar faces. Of course, we were on the same flight with Ambassador Merrill, David Merrill. So if it's any consolation, I'm not the ambassador, as Tony said, but as consolation, I will deliver the ambassador's remarks. Ambassador Sony sends his apologies and best wishes to this conference, to the organizers, speakers, and all of the participants. It is with pleasure that Ambassador Sony would have addressed this auspicious and important occasion. He congratulates the Harvard Kennedy School for initiating and organizing this event. The knowledge and understanding of Indonesia in the United States is long-standing, even though dispersed throughout this immense country. Indonesia owes a great deal to American researchers, historians, political scientists, anthropologists, economists, and others who have developed knowledge and understanding of Indonesia. You know, people like George Cahin, Clifford and Hildred Gertz, Benedict Anderson, Ruth McVeigh, and many others who have and continue to follow in their footsteps, a lot of whom are in this room. This event and those that may follow will go a long way in fostering an environment for informed decisions on Indonesia, both in the United States as well as in other places. We are pleased to share our views on current and future Indonesia-US relations, a relationship that is vital, long-running, and multifaceted. We hope that by doing so, we can also emphasize the importance we place on promoting Indonesia's profile in the United States. Last month, President Joko Widodo made his first visit to the United States. He and President Obama agreed to improve bilateral cooperation in a number of sectors, such as maritime, defense, economic and development, energy cooperation to address regional and global issues, as well as in strengthening people-to-people contact. They agreed that the US and Indonesia will form a strategic partnership, building on the comprehensive partnership that was established in 2010. The fact that the visit was made during a very challenging time of disaster in Indonesia underscores the importance that President Widodo places on Indonesia's relationship with the US. It underlines Indonesia's free and active foreign policy. The relationship between Indonesia and the US is asymmetrical, but it is not unequal. We share many interests, which may serve as a unifying factor to promote Indonesia-US relations, and three of them come to mind. The first one is economic potential for cooperation. Indonesia offers various opportunities as the government and private sector seeks to diversify Indonesia's economy. Opportunities are available beyond natural resources. This was the message that President Widodo delivered at his meetings with the US private sector, and a similar message was conveyed to Silicon Valley by a number of ministers who visited the Silicon Valley right after the president departed Washington, D.C. The message was that Indonesia wants to expand its e-commerce market size tenfold in 5 years' time. And to do so, the government is committed to create the necessary nurturing environment. The US is home to cutting-edge technologies in new and renewable energy, and these are technologies that would be crucial for Indonesia to fulfill its emission targets. Today, bilateral trade and investment level does not reflect the two countries' true potential. The annual trade volume, for example, is very low, stands at about below $30 billion. And US investment have yet to discover the opportunities beyond natural resources. The government of Indonesia and the embassy in Washington, working together with the US administration and companies, want to expand US investment portfolio in Indonesia. We share a common interest in transforming those investments to other sectors of the Indonesian economy. The government is reforming regulations that hinder the investment climate. It is providing incentives for new investors. It honors existing contracts and abides by international rules and agreements. The representative of the KPM is also in the audience. The improvement of Indonesia's rank in the World Bank's Index of Ease of Doing Business, it was 120 for 2015. It's now 111 for 2016. It's an encouraging sign, but the country has a long way to go to enhancing its competitiveness. It needs to continue with its reform efforts, and this was the message that Indonesians expect, a message that the government under President Widodo is projecting to the world, in the US, but above all to Indonesia and to Indonesians. At the dinner hosted by the US Chamber in Washington, D.C. last month, President Widodo stated that he and his team shall continue reforming and improving until we get it right. We hope that this will address the perception that Indonesia is retreating and becoming more protectionist, a sentiment that we at the embassy and elsewhere have often heard in Washington. Second, Indonesia is a key country in the region for the US to realize its rebalance policy to Asia. This week, President Obama made his 9th trip to the region. For the US, it is an opportunity to demonstrate the strength of President Obama's rebalance strategy that covers security, economic, people-to-people aspects of the policy. Indonesia, for its part, reciprocates this strategy, and in fact, Indonesia played a significant role in paving the way for US to be part of the region's architecture. Indonesia was happy to host President Obama during his first participation in the East Asia Summit in Bali in 2011. And the EAS is stronger today with the participation of the United States and the Russian Federation. For Indonesia, the presence of the US in the region, like other countries, is indispensable. We support a US rebalance policy that contributes to the promotion of the region's peace, stability, and prosperity. Indonesia strongly supports the US policy that promotes unity and centrality of ASEAN. Another layer of Indonesia's engagement with the US policy towards the region will be related to the TPP. President Jokowi has stated that Indonesia intends to join TPP. The government will work with the US and other TPP governments to see how to implement this intention, especially after the partnership enters into force. Finally, the third area where Indonesia and the US share common interest is in addressing the multifaceted challenges at the global level. The scope and complexity of these challenges are unprecedented. In the last several years, the international community has witnessed profound changes all over the world. We are observing rapid power shifts in international relations. Power and influence are no longer exclusively defined by the military construct. They are equally determined by economic and socio-political considerations. The world today is not only dominated by state actors. Non-state actors are challenging states and the global order. The fact is that our global challenges call for concerted efforts. Challenges such as those posed by ISIS, terrorism, climate change, refugee crisis, the Iran nuclear deal, and overall nuclear non-proliferation and disarmament, and cross-border epidemics like Ebola, just to name a few. As the country with the largest Muslim population, Indonesia can be a reliable partner for the US in advancing moderate voice of Islam. We can work together to defeat the frequently misunderstood ideology about the true teachings of Islam, promote understanding that religions is blessings for all humankind. None of these challenges can be addressed by any single country, but require closer international collaboration. If Indonesia and the United States work closer together, we will be sending a strong and clear message to the international community that we can together work on a world that is more stable, peaceful, and prosperous. The US-Indonesia strategic partnership and the broader America-Indonesia relationships require the support and tangible work of both countries' governments, academia, business communities, civil societies, and people. The Embassy very much welcomed this conference and those conferences that will follow. The theme of it is very fitting, very proper. It reflects and fits accurately with the common perception of Indonesia here in the US, that Indonesia is Asia's inscrutable giant. We hope that the conference could create a snowball effect, trigger track 2 actors in the US to not only map the contemporary socio-economic and political developments of Indonesia, but also to provide feasible suggestions and to taking their active roles to enhance understanding of Indonesia. On our part, we look forward to supporting future conferences, only as far as the organizers wish us to do. So do host more conferences on Indonesia and the US, establish more Indonesian studies, write more books, policy recommendations, and invite more scholars and community exchanges. We wish you a successful conference. Thank you.
Well, that certainly is our objective, to try and organize more workshops, to try and get more research generated. Amazingly, we're only 20 minutes behind schedule, which is pretty impressive for any Harvard conference. So I'd like to thank again the DCM and to reflect our best wishes to the ambassador for his very kind comments to open this workshop. I see there's more people than there are seats. I don't know what we can really do about that. If there are other chairs outside we can bring in the back. We do have some restrictions with fire regulations. We'll actually need one of those. There might be one or two of the reserved seats that might be free. But anyway, now we will move on to the first of the substantive sessions. So thank you.